sorry. I was like a couple minutes late. I went to open it and then it's like, let me update. I'm like, damn it, of course.
Every time, every time. How many updates can they do?
I know. I was just actually making a post in the women in business group and I was like doing that. And then I was like, okay, it's time to get on. I get on there. It's like 2 minutes till. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Oh yeah.
It's been a
It's part of
while.
the tech world. We used to be like so vigilant with like on time, on time, on time, but I think we've gotten a little loose because there's always technical
There
difficulties.
is. And I actually was thinking, I saw this reel, or was it whatever. I saw something online yesterday and it was like saying like it's 1998 and the peak of technology was perfect. And it showed like what there where it was like technology wise and what there wasn't. And I'm thinking like, you know what, that was like a good year because you had your cell phones and the internet was like, normal then and you used it more often. But it wasn't like to as far as it's gone now. And I was thinking about that. I never really thought like when was like the quote like peak, if you will. And I kind of think like maybe it was around the 2000,
Yeah. And it's all been downhill ever since.
I just feel like it's
Kind
just going
of.
so far. Like
Yeah.
it's just too much. And I don't know.
It's way
But
too much. Like that AI shit where it can like replicate you and what you say and what you do.
that's
Like that's
crazy.
scary
Like
shit.
I want to know like what happened. I mean, obviously I know there's like softwares that can like debunk that stuff and like,
Yeah.
all that kind of junk like that. But I actually wonder, sorry about English on. I'm actually wondering like what happens in the court of law with that kind of stuff because you can make people say and do or look like they're saying and doing anything. So when
Yeah.
people say, well, where's your evidence? Where's your proof? That could be manufactured. So it's like, what's going to be like how high is the technology going to be to kind of debunk that? So like, if you say something and I'm like, oh my God, I'm suing her for slander, but you never actually said it. How do they, can they differentiate between what's real and what's not? Because I feel like it's already so good. It's
Yeah.
only going to keep getting better. So I just
Yeah.
wonder like what's going to actually happen.
Yeah, it's scary. And especially people like you or me who do a lot of things publicly. We've given them
Yeah.
every word we could possibly say, every mannerism we could do. Like they could duplicate us perfectly, for
Think of
sure.
Andy. He's done a podcast for like 10 years. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's like thousands of hours of video of him probably saying every word in the dictionary. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh
But then I
yeah.
also got another sorry, I'm getting off topic. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Well, I
We
was
have
just
no specific topic. I love this.
no, I was just thinking though too with like, the technology, AI, ChatGPT, all of that, it's made to like quote make your life easier. But the thing is that, it's going to make a lot of people just lazy. They're not going to use
Mhm.
their creative side of their brain anymore because it can be done for them.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, well, is there a part where you could look at the other side of the coin? Because I've been like, Andy and I talk about this all the time because we're like not for that. But
Yep.
it's like, okay, but does that buy back people time? The people that are going to be using it, let's say like, people like you or me that are busy, does it buy back your time because now you're not having to create and do so much yourself and you can actually have some of your life back and quote
Yep.
free time because it takes that off your plate. But then again, then you're not actually putting it out there and it's not your voice and it's, you know what I mean? It's just like
I do. And
I
I've
just
gone through
I'm
that
not
because
for it.
I've had AI like, oh, I need to write about this and it'll spit it out in like 5 seconds. And I'm like, that kind of pretty much sounds like me. But then it almost immediately I go into editing it so it sounds more like me as opposed to just creating it and then using that to edit what I'm saying. And then it's
Yeah.
like I might not have said that, but now I think I would have said that. So I'm going with that. And now let me
Yeah.
edit it so it sounds more personal. And it's like, well, what would I have said if I didn't do that?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing too, is it's like, I think that's the big point because there's a softwares where you can like literally copy and paste something in to see if it was created through AI or Chat GPT. So if you
Yeah.
see something, you're like, wait, let me just copy and paste. You can see if someone's basically like they didn't actually say it themselves.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like it's not made for you to like do it and you just use it. It's made for you to like give you ideas or inspire you, and then you put your own words to it. But I think it's just people are just looking for it as like an out, and it's like I just not about it because it's like I don't know. It's just there's a lot of doom and gloom I think coming around the corner with that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, even think about the schools. These poor teachers are having to learn how to navigate. Like, is the kid actually saying this, or is it Chat GPT, or is it some
Yeah.
variation?
Well,
And
that's
then
what
the
I learned
kids are
about the
spending more
software.
time like critically thinking about how to make it their own instead of just saying it and doing it on their own and being corrected and having that
I know.
conversation.
And it's like what's going to happen with colleges and stuff and things
Mm.
like that because the kids aren't going to actually, and it scares me. This sounds so bad, but it scares me for the future of medical providers because
Mm.
if they are going through medical school using a tool like that and they're not actually retaining the information, and here you have them as a surgeon or you have them doing something else, like that makes me nervous, you know? I just think of like all the different like caveats with it. It's just, it's very like, it's very unnerving. And I feel like that it's
It
just,
is.
I don't know. There's a lot to it. Anyway, sorry. What are we going to talk
It
about
is.
today?
It is. And we'll see what 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And then I also think the pandemic just sort of escalated it, right? Because we're all like separated, we're in our own spaces, everything is remote now. Let's make it easier
Yeah,
for you. It almost just feels like it was all part of this design to make us all
I know.
deaf,
It's just,
dumb, like, whatever.
yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm just like not, I'm not about it. And it just makes me like, just makes me nervous.
As it should. Well,
Yeah.
so that's a question I have for you. So I feel like you're kind of like me. We multitask. I mean, we wear so many hats throughout the day,
Yeah.
especially for you, like the different businesses and the different things. Are you a multitasker or are you a all in on this is what I'm doing right now kind of person?
I've evolved. So wait, are we
Ooh.
recording this or is this just our pre-talk?
We are recording, but we
Okay.
can edit whatever you want out.
No, you're good. You're good. No. So I used to be a multitasker and actually like would pride myself in that. But then
Same.
I felt like what was happening was I would try to multitask and I would get pulled away from things and I would not complete that task because I forgot that I was working on five things at once. Cause I'd be like, okay, well, I'm waiting for this to upload. I'll start on this and I'll do this. And then I found just with the increase in volume of workload, that I was forgetting things because I remember going back and checking my draft emails and I wrote somebody an email and I was waiting for a response. I never sent it because I was multitasking, got pulled away and didn't go back to do it because I was writing the email and where the email stopped in my draft box, it was something I knew I had stopped to look up to reference to put in the email. And I never went back because I guess I got on there and then I got distracted, like got on Instagram or I don't know what I did. And I never
Yep.
sent it. And therefore, what I needed, it was already delayed because it was a 2 week wait. And I was like, where's this at? I've been waiting 2 weeks. I never even sent it myself.
Yeah.
And I feel like as I've gotten older, I'm trying to really like hone in on things because it is, like you said, we wear a lot of hats. And now I'm to the point where I'm like, I'm going all in on one. And I used to think multitasking was the game, but I found that it's really not. So now I prioritize what takes the most time versus the littlest time. And when I'm sitting at my desk, I do the most time, like my priorities. I've always done my priorities, needs, and wants, but now I do my priorities as like what takes the most time, what takes the least amount of time. Because then I do okay, I've got 2 hours, I'm going to be at my desk. I'll do that one that involves the most time. The little stuff I wait because then if I don't get it done while I'm sitting at my desk, if I'm making dinner and I've got chicken in the oven for 20 minutes, I can knock out the little things that only take 5 or 10 minutes, So
Mm.
I felt like that structure has really worked for me the last, probably, I've only done this maybe the last like year. And I feel like
Oh,
it's really
wow.
helped me. And I think it was a realization of feeling like you were just constantly like chasing your tail all the time. And
Yeah.
I noticed I was letting things slip through the cracks, the more volume I was having to balance. So that's kind of when I was like, okay, I just need like to break this all down and, rebuild essentially. How about you?
Yeah. No, it's the same. It was funny. I had Rich Diviney on the show, and
He's
he's
so
he's a
great.
Navy SEAL. He's so great. And in the
He's in our book club.
attributes,
He's
he
phenomenal.
literally said there is no multitasking. And so I wanted to debate him on this because I am a multitasker. And at the end of it, he ended up just kind of half-heartedly agreeing with me. He's like, oh, okay, so maybe you are a super tasker, not a multitasker, but you're a
Yeah.
super tasker. You're able to do a lot of things, keep them all on track, and maybe that's your happy place. But like you, I've also noticed in the last few years, things are slipping through the cracks, or I think I do something and I didn't finish it, or I was going to do that and I meant to do it and I got distracted. And I'm like, maybe I should relook this as well. And I was talking with somebody and I was explaining all the hats, and sometimes I got to put this one on, but then I got to do that one, but then I forget. And his advice to me, and kind of like you, I just got to be all in on whatever it is I'm doing right now, and then do that afterwards. Or I like what you put out there as far as like strategizing on what pebbles you could put in there while you're working on the rock without disrupting the rock, but doing the little pebbles and stuff.
What you said hits like home to me too. You said like, oh, well, you thought you did it. One thing I remember, I used to respond to people with like text messages and stuff before you could actually mark them unread. They would be like, hey, did you get this? I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And it's truly, truly what I meant. I was like, I thought I responded to you. I mentally responded, but I did not physically respond because I was in the middle of doing another task. And I was like, and I thought like they would say, oh, can we do this? Blah, blah. Is this mock-up approved? And I'd be like, oh, that looks good. but I would not say, yes, that looks good, go to print. You know what I mean? Because I just
Yeah.
see it, I'm like, oh, and then it's kind of off my mind. Where now it's like if I read a text message, excuse me, I'll like mark it unread if I need to go back. Or now I like to pin them now that you can like pin the conversations to the top.
Mm.
So I use like on the iPhone, I'm not sure about Androids or anything, but I pin things to the top. So there's like, I think you can have 9 at the top of it. And
Oh,
I will
wow.
pin them. So at the end of my day, my pins are what I need to follow up on. Like if I'm driving and I'm at a stoplight, you text me, say, hey, do you want to do a podcast this date? And I'll be like, hey, let me check my planner when I get home or when I get to my destination, whatever. I will pin it. That way I know like, oh, this is my to-do list for my text messages.
Smart. I am going to have to start doing that because I just put my kids at the top of the pinned just so if
Yeah.
they ever text, I always get it. But I like that because there's a lot of things, like you said, between the not read, but also like, oh, I'm going to respond to that, but I know they're going to reply. So I want to do this later when I have
Yeah.
time to like have a two-way conversation about it. And then I forget. So I like the idea of the pinning. That's super smart.
Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't
I
know
used
you could
to,
do it for those
well,
reasons.
well, when it first came out, I would do it like Andy, my sister, like my employees. I would do
Yeah.
that because those are the people I text the most. Well, then what I also found though is that I wouldn't necessarily see their messages because it would be up at the top and it would just be like a little blur. I wouldn't pay attention to it. But then I was like, well, this doesn't make sense. And so then I got rid of all of it and I only put the ones that like, those are my follow-ups, like my to-do list and my text messages, if you will.
Mm, that is brilliant. I am going to start doing that because
Demote
that
those
makes so
kids, get
much
them
more
off your
sense.
pins and put your nose.
Kids, you're out, man. I got more important things up
Exactly.
here at the top.
Exactly. I had to get my Diet Coke today. It's the only thing I get my Diet.
Oh, look at you. Did you get the dogs their treat too?
Oh yeah, no, they got that yesterday. They got Steak and Shake yesterday after the groomer, but I don't drink coffee or anything else. This is my only caffeine for the day, so I get a Diet Coke usually like
Oh,
every.
I do love a fountain Diet Coke. That's like the best ever.
It's the only thing I'll drink. I don't want a can. I don't want a bottle. I don't want any of that crap. I just want a fountain Diet Coke. And for some reason, McDonald's is better because they got that extra like boost of CO2 or something.
I'll have to try that. Although McDonald's is dangerous for me. I pretty much try to avoid it because, man, it just takes me back to being a kid where it was a treat to go to McDonald's back
Oh
before they
yeah,
put in all the crap that they did, and the French fry
yeah.
was a real French fry, and it wasn't as bad as it is now.
Yeah, I know that, that's fun because like we never ate fast food because we grew up on a farm and we only had a McDonald's and a Hardee's and we never really ate fast food. And I don't really like fast food, which I'm so grateful for. And usually if
Yeah.
I do just like Chick-fil-A or something, I like that.
Yeah.
But or Steak and Shake burgers, I like their burgers though too, but I don't really get those that often. So
Yeah. Nice. So I had a question for you. So one thing I've noticed is you're very routine driven from what I can tell. You also don't travel a lot. Is it due to you like your routine and you don't like to disrupt it? Is that like the main cause? Or you're just like a super happy homebody and I don't need to travel for work or anything, so I just don't.
yeah, so it's kind of a mix of everything that you said. We are homebodies and we're always like you feel like you're always on, you know what I mean? You're at work, you're doing social media, you're doing stuff. So it's like home is like like everybody, it's like it's your space. It's where you can just kind of breathe and just like be alone and be with your spouse and just hang out. So there's that component to it. It's a lot because we have like our dogs and our ducks. So it's having someone to care for them while we're gone that can do it to like, that they have to like stay and live at our house while we're gone. So that kind of makes it like a little bit more challenging because we're like, hey, leave your family and come live here for a while. But
Yeah.
it's also because, with the brands and the businesses that we have, collectively we own and operate 11 different businesses. There's a lot of moving parts there and our teams can totally like sustain it and run it themselves, but we truly enjoy what we do and we love that like hustle and bustle and like I guess like the stress and the chaos that comes with it. So
Yeah.
we enjoy it and I just feel like sometimes it sounds so silly, but it's almost more work to travel than it is worth it
Yep.
to get everything set up to get it all, ready to roll. Like I just took my sister last week. I took her to Disney World for 4 days for her 40th birthday. Just me and
Nice.
her. She wanted to go there because she usually goes with her kids and her husband and her, her in-laws and that extended family. She's like, let's just go just ourselves for my 40th birthday. I'm like, done. So
Yeah.
I took her to Disney World and it was for 4 days, but it's still just me leaving. It's like making sure Andy's meals are prepped. I cook all the dog's food. So making their stuff's prepped, making sure my team's set up, making sure this is done. This is, and it's all these little things just for 4 days away.
Yeah.
But so it's almost kind of where it's like Andy and I both agree. It's like, it's kind of a lot more work sometimes to do that. But
Yeah.
we're gonna try to get better at it because we realize like we do need to do that. We've been married almost 13 years. We went on a honeymoon and then we went on a 10-year anniversary trip, and that's it. Every other time we travel, it's
You
for
guys are
our
due.
I know, yeah. It's for RTA events or work to speaking events and things like that. But those we call them turn and burns, where we fly in, land, we got our team with us, you speak, you hop back on the plane, you come home. We're maybe away one night, or if it's an RTA event, we're away for a few more nights. But other than that, we don't really do a lot of travel. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So,
and hopefully now that the
crazy,
world's
but
opened up and things are less crazy, you guys can
yeah.
afford more of that. But it
Yeah.
is difficult. Like right now I'm on 75 hard, so I'm on day 48, I think.
That's
But
incredible.
traveling in 75 hard, it's a whole nother level of challenge because when your routine is thrown off, it's easy to miss stuff or
Yeah.
I'm out wandering around random cities at night getting my outdoor workout
Yeah.
in, which I actually have learned to love, but it is so much more challenging to try to keep that routine with travel
Yeah.
as well.
One thing that I love with 75 Hard, and just like a little tip, is that whenever I've done it, like at Women in Business, I've done it a few times. What I
Mhm.
always like to do, so if you are doing that and you are traveling, I always like to book a hotel with a balcony. If there's a balcony that is outside, then you can do your outdoor workout. So what I did during Women in Business is, like after the classroom sessions ends at 3 p.m., you go to dinner at like 6, there's that
Yeah.
window there. I would literally go out on my balcony because it was totally open, and I would bring workout bands or like booty bands with me, and I would do my outdoor workout on my balcony, because then I'm not walking around if I'm at a strange city or something, if I
Yeah.
am traveling, or even just in St. Louis, I don't want to walk around at night by myself or anything like that. So I will do it out on my balcony. And it's been like the best thing, because then I can do my indoor workout in my hotel room and
Yep.
then do the classroom stuff. And then I'll go out on my balcony, get a workout in. I can still shower, chill out for a little bit, get ready for dinner and move on. So it's like, if you are traveling, and especially as a woman alone, getting a hotel with a balcony is like a big deal. Or one time I did go out to California for a speaking event, and the hotel that the people that hired me to speak, it didn't have a balcony. So I went where like the awning is at, where people pull up to like unload their suitcases and stuff, and the valet is
Mhm.
out there. I literally just stepped out to the side where it was open and I wasn't undercover. And I literally just stood there at night and did it. I did squats, jumping jacks, lunges. I jumped rope. I took my stuff with me. I had my booty bands with me, because there's like a valet. There's people going in and out. I'm right there by the front door of the hotel. So I'm not walking around a strange city that I don't know by myself.
Ah, great tips, which I hadn't considered. So I'm definitely going to take that into account because most of the time I kind of enjoy the walking around. It's like, when am
Yeah,
I ever going to do this again? Like, whatever in the world
sure.
would force me to go. Like, I went to Reno to visit my family and I was out walking the neighborhoods of like when I grew up and the lake.
That's
And I'm like,
cool.
this is amazing. So I
Yeah,
love how it can push you into things that you would never normally do.
yeah.
By having to do that. But I also like this trick because for a place that's not my hometown, I wouldn't necessarily feel
Well,
so comfortable out walking
yeah.
around, like you said.
Yeah, because I was at that place, I think two nights I think I was there. One night I did the valet thing outside, and the other day I was able to do it during the day when I landed there, because I like to get to a speaking event the day before. So I know
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no delays in the flight, there's nothing going on. I can get a good night's sleep, wake up and do the event. And it was cool because there was a farmer's market very close by during the day when I had landed. And I walked the farmer's market around for 45 minutes, but I walked it, like for the workout wise.
Yeah.
And the vendors at the booth of the farmer, they were like looking at me like, why is this girl keep walking? They're like, I could see them just looking at me like, why does she keep walking by? Because it was only like one street, but I'm just
Yep.
buzzing back and forth.
Yep. That's what I did 2 weeks ago. Is I did it in the airport because I'm like, damn, I'm here an hour
Yeah,
early. Well, shit, why don't I just knock out my workout while I'm in the airport than waiting till I land to do it?
for
And so
sure.
I got my travel like wheels and my gallon of water, and I, like you said, just walking back
I
and forth.
love
People are
that.
like, what the hell is this person doing?
Yeah, you just got to get it in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and this is where you got to get creative and think outside the box, unless you can have that routine of predictability every single day and just stick to that routine, which I
Which
know
I
you
think
or I
is,
can't do.
I would say, yeah, I was just about to say, they took the words out of my mouth, as far as like, that's something hard for you or I to do, because every day it's like you can get called out to do something or handle,
Yeah.
like if there's an emergency or a fire, we call them, like, you gotta go put out a fire somewhere,
Oh,
or I'll
yeah.
have a plan. And then it's like, I get a call and I got to go up to headquarters, or something. So it's like, you just have to be a little bit fluid. And I feel like whenever I've done 75 hard, having a set routine for one of the workouts, and my set routine is always for the outdoor, not the
Mm.
indoor. The indoor is the easiest one for me, because I could do it no matter what the weather is, what's going on, what city I'm in, or anything like that. So that can be fluid. but I'll always make sure that, okay, my outdoor one is accounted for. Like I know I'm going to have this time allotted for it. I can do it this time. Cause that's always like a harder one. Cause you don't know where you're going to be at, like if you just like,
Yeah.
if I get pulled away and I got to go to headquarters and I'm like, well, shoot, I can't do it there because they're doing this event at the back parking lot. Now I'm going to have to wait until they're done. It's, it just takes a lot of like the hassle or like the stress out of it. So I always
Yeah.
like to plan at least one and then I'll let the other one kind of be fluid throughout the day.
I love that. What is for you the hardest part of doing 75 hard? Like the most challenging thing? Because once
I
you've done it
would,
as many years as you have, almost
yeah,
consistently,
I,
same for myself. There's not a lot that's like hard anymore, but maybe inconvenient.
it's so dumb, but it's always the picture. Since
Is it
2019,
really?
every single year, it's the picture. Because I don't like selfies of myself. I don't like
Same.
really talk. I don't talk on camera a lot on my stories. I just don't, I just feel like it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I know it's part of the deal, but I just feel kind of weird standing in front of my bathroom, like clink. And so I'm all, and sometimes in the morning, I'm just like, I want to get going and get moving,
Yeah.
and I'll just like forget to do it. So that's why I like the app though, because I can like set the alarm for it. That way I know like I won't forget it because I would say probably anytime I failed except once has been because I forgot the picture. One
Oh,
time I failed because I think I was just like, I willingly failed because I was so tired because it was an event that we had and it was like 2 in the morning and I started doing my outdoor workout and we flew home actually from an RTA event and we landed
yeah.
at like 12:30. We got home, I unpacked, started laundry, and I pushed the exercise bike out into our driveway. So I again would be outdoors and I started biking and it just like, I don't know, it was just like the dopamine like drop from the event and being like going. I just like had this like just total exhaustion where it was so much work to pedal that bike. And I'd
Yeah.
only done it for like 5 minutes when that hit. And I was like, and I think I was on day like 17 or 18. So I wasn't too far along. I feel like
Yeah.
I was further along. It would have made me push harder to go. But I was like, forget it. I'm going to start back tomorrow. Like I was just like so like overtired. And then I
Yeah.
started back 2 days later, I think I did. So,
Yeah.
but it's always been the picture. How about you?
Yeah, but not the picture. I'm pretty good about that. Although I'm really bad at the app because I've done it so long. I kind of already know every day, and I don't feel like I need the app to
Yeah.
remind me. And then I get Andy's face. Did you fail? And I'm like, I didn't fail, Andy. I'm sorry. I just forgot to mark my app. Are you sure? And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
wait, I'm pretty sure. No, for me, the hardest part is the peeing, honestly, because I have, that
Oh,
gallon of water is a lot of water. And so doing CrossFit or doing different things, you're not always able to go to the bathroom like as often as you would need to when you drink a lot of water. So I have to
yeah.
really plan out my day so that the peeing from all the water isn't disrupting everything.
No, that's so I tell people like you have to treat yourself like a toddler, like how you would if you had a toddler, like, hey, do you need to go potty before we go? No, well, why don't you just try to go? Like
Yeah.
literally that's what I learned from it because I'd be like, I don't need to go. Then I'd get halfway on a walk and I'm a woman. I can't just like plop down on the side of the road,
Yeah.
So a
Yeah.
guy can like sneak in the woods and go to the bathroom. I can't do that.
Yeah.
And so now it's like even if I don't even feel like I have to go to the bathroom, I'm still going just in case if I if I have to.
Oh, yeah. Well, and we have gravity, so it's just like as soon as
Yeah.
we stand up, and that's what I've realized about this one. I'm like, actually, the water hasn't been that hard to get down if I stay seated. It's once I stand up, then it all just like hits me. So I'll chug like a good half gallon plus, and then I'll stand up. I'm like, oh shit, then I'm peeing for like the
That
next
is so
hour.
funny. I love it.
It's a lot of water, but
Yeah.
and I always hated it at first, but then I'm always extremely grateful for it because, it helps your skin, your face, your digestion, like all the things. Like
Yeah.
water is so good. And that's why I really love 75 hard because it pushes that. Because without it, I'll only probably drink about a half gallon a day, but with it,
Yeah.
I'll drink about a gallon.
I think that's one thing that a lot of people discover because everybody thinks they drink a lot of water a day, but when you actually have to like measure it or know that you're drinking it, it just changes it because you're like, oh wait, I don't drink as much as I thought I did. And what
Yeah.
I do is like I just get my like 4 liter bottles of water and I would just set that out and I know like, okay, these are what I have to have this day. And I'll only pull from like that little like, section of my water bottles that I have filled. And I
Yep.
just go through that. That way I know like, okay, I'm getting my gallon in because that way I don't have to like necessarily like, track each, here's 20 ounces or here's whatever this is, 16 ounces. You know what I mean? I don't have to do it that way.
Yep.
It's like, give me my 4 liters and I'll be good.
Yeah, well, that's I went and visited my son. He's like, "God, you're high maintenance." And I'm like, "Okay, so your mom is high maintenance because she wants good water. She needs to drink a gallon, and I have to work out twice a
Yeah.
day. Like, I'll take that kind of good that high maintenance, son. It
You know,
could be a whole lot worse."
you know what's crazy though is like not crazy, but to back you up on as far as like it's good for your skin, it's good for your organs, all that stuff. I was just talking to a friend yesterday and we were talking about she had a Pepsi Zero and I had a Diet Coke. I was like, oh my gosh,
Mm.
like I said, I used to drink Pepsi like when I had my flower shop when I was 20. I remember that there was a time I would drink 6 regular Pepsis a day, 6 cans of soda. Like, what the hell? That is wild. But when I
Wow.
was growing up, we got 1 can of soda a day as a treat if we had soda. We didn't even have it all the time. We usually just drank water or tea. And I was telling her, I said, yeah, back in 2020, I was saying that like I go, yeah, I was in the best shape of my life in 2020. I said my company had started, but we hadn't got the products yet. So like we launched, but like, I'm sorry, we had it all in the works. We hadn't actually like publicly launched yet. So I was just, managing Andy's brands at the time and it wasn't as chaotic. Everything was shut down. I said, I was in the best shape of my life and all I drank was water. I never drank soda, never drank tea, no caffeine, nothing. And I told her, I go, now I'm like, man, should I just give up all of the caffeine and stuff again
Oh.
and go back to straight water? But again, I know there was other components. Like I was working out religiously 7 days a week. I had a strong routine. I was hitting all my macros, getting all my protein in. And I think there's ebbs and flows to the fitness world, as
Yeah.
just with CrossFit and everything like that. It's like you get into it and then life gets busy and you try to hang on to those solid key point factors that you need to do to like keep yourself healthy, but they may not be at the intensity that you used to, or you might miss a meal here or there. And I told her, I was like, I just need to like get back to where I was doing everything like perfectly. And it's finding a new routine because I think the ebbs and flows of business and life, you're always going to be reinventing and redeveloping your routine and
Mhm.
how it fits for you. And I'm at that crossroad. I don't want to say crossroad, but I'm at that spot right now. I just moved into my company just moved into a new building last Friday.
Oh.
And it's just now it's like, okay, now I have that. It's been, months and months of working through this because it's, May now. And we started this with the new building in August. So it's been since
Oh,
August
wow.
2024 to now of just, a lot of just like stuff. The business has grown a lot. I've got a lot more employees now than I did. And it's just been kind of like, okay, now I'm at a point where we're flowing, we're moving. We got to like our like quote like goal, if you will, of getting this space, getting everybody in their correct positions and firing on all cylinders. Now it's time for me to sit down and really like think and plan. And that's what I did today. I went into the office this morning. We shot some content for some ads that will have become that will be coming out like on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. Shot some ads with the products. And I told my team, like, I'm going back to the house. I told them I had, your podcast, I have some other stuff going on today. And I go, I just want to sit and plan and get things done because now I feel like I'm at the space where, okay, what does my health and fitness journey look like now that I'm not running so chaotically? Because before it was, I'm running to my studio, to the warehouse, to the headquarters, to my office here. It was just kind of all over the place. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
I've got this one place I got to go to and I'm good, and I'm really excited about it because now I feel like I can kind of
Yeah.
have me back. Cause you feel like, I'm sure a lot of your listeners and you can resonate. It's like you try to take care of yourself as best as you can in all capacities. And you try to provide for your team, financially, emotionally, physically be there for them if they need anything. But then you kind of with that, the more you do that, the more you kind of are falling into the fog of standing in your own being and doing what you really need to be doing for yourself. And I think I feel excited because I feel like I can really like fully take care of myself and do the things that I need to get back to because when I do those things, I'm a much better leader, provider for my team, provider, for my family, for, better wife, better dog mom. No, but
I don't think you could possibly be a better dog mom.
but what I mean? You just feel
Yeah.
better. And I think it's more confident in what you're doing for yourself. So
Yeah.
therefore that kind of is projected onto everything that you are surrounded with. And so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you because you're just sort of emanate it and it feels like, oh, but I got to grind and I got to put in the work. It's like, no, but if you just show up 100% yourself authentically, you can actually put in half the work and get just as much done, but then spend the rest of the time like pouring into yourself. And that's kind of the
Yeah.
lesson that I really went through last year. Cause if you remember with the
Yeah.
pandemic and Arte and that was traveling, hustling,
Yeah.
opportunity, don't want to miss this, got to go there for that. and I just ran myself ragged, and I wasn't good for myself or my team. And so, like the end of last year, last 6 months, I just cocooned, and I was like, "You're just going to pour as much energy as you've been pouring into everybody else into yourself equally. Let's just see what happens." And it was amazing. It's actually been difficult for me to sort of transition it out of like how much I walk and I meditate and I spend time with my self and do all the things. But I know that I'm a much better person for myself and for everybody else when I equally pour into myself.
Yeah, I think it's so important. I think that also comes with age, because I feel like I used to in my
Mm,
30s, I'll be 43 next month. And I feel like in my 30s, I was always like you're saying, opportunity, 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 do this, you tell me how high to jump. I'm gonna do it if that's gonna help the companies or whatever it
mhm,
was. And it was just like go, go, go. And it wasn't necessarily like, okay, well, what do I want? I felt like I was always just like nonstop. Like my calendar was always crazy, and I always would like equate a calendar that had every single line filled in or every single time block filled in as like success. It wasn't. It was just like, yes, there were a lot of like productivity happening. There was a lot of that. There's also a lot of just busy crap happening that I was just doing that I really didn't need to be doing. But
yeah.
again, you're trying to like find what hits or what works or anything else. So you don't want to pass anything by. And I feel like as you become more established, you get older, get wiser, you realize I don't have to do all that. Let me do the things that are really going to like fulfill me and can actually, produce something either for myself, mentally to help me, physically, emotionally, whatever, or to help my business instead of just like a lot of guesses. And, that's something that I feel a lot happier now because
Mm,
I did that. And I also think it's important to I take like dungeon days. I've talked about that a lot for years, but I take these dungeon days and I was out of those for a while because I was just so busy like in it. And I
mhm,
started taking those again. It's been a huge game changer. And it's just where I basically just stay in my home office. I don't go into the to work, and I just get all the stuff done that I need to, even if it's just catching up on emails, like that was
mhm,
part of my day today of just staying here. Cause I think I have 500 and something emails I have to respond to. And it's
yeah.
like, okay, well, I need to get, okay, 70, I'll do 75 every day till they're done, but then stuff happens. So I told the girls, I need a workcation is what I call it, where it's like, I'm just, hey, I'm going to be here. I'm working the whole time, but it's stuff that I have to do here because when you're in a office setting or you're with your friends, it's very easy to get distracted in
Mhm,
conversations or they need you or you're pulled in different directions. So I just make a list of every single thing and I just do nothing but check the boxes. I don't take phone calls or anything else. I don't look at my text messages and I just stay hyper
mhm,
focused because when you feel like you're at like, I don't want to say caught up because I feel like in business, you're never really quote caught
yeah,
up.
yeah.
But I feel like when you get the things that actually require your touch, when you get those done, like when I get my emails done today and when I get like my task list here that I have done, you're going to feel so much lighter and better. And you're going to put yourself in a position to almost like a start over, like a reset. Like, okay, all the crap that I had to do that was piling up in my head and, causing me stress. Cause studies show like, if you're not taking action on those things and you can cause anxiety and stress just by trying to remember what is supposed to cause you stress and anxiety on your to-do list.
Mm,
If you're able to
mhm.
just relieve yourself of that, you're going to be so much more like you just in a better mindset, more productive. You're going to feel better and your cortisol will go down because you're not like that stress hormone is not just constantly producing itself because you're not taking action. I think it's just getting, it's all about scheduling structures and routines.
It is, and being boundaried because, people are used to you doing something or doing everything or doing things when they need
Yeah.
and want, and so, like you said, it's like, oh, and this is like the crux of being a good leader is knowing when and what to delegate and what to keep for yourself,
Mhm.
holding yourself accountable for what you need to do, but at the same time, for myself, holding other people accountable for what they were supposed to do, because I've noticed as you're saying that cortisol is like I ask someone to do something and then I forget to follow up and then I don't remember and then I'm like, did they do that or not? And so I realized for me, part of me being a good leader is no, it's actually your job to follow up and see if it was done. Like I assume I told you to do it, it should be done, but I also need to get that feedback that yes, it was done, or else some part of my attention is stuck over there wondering if it did or didn't.
And that's the hardest part, I think, as well. Like I've also struggled with that too, because I subscribe to the idea of if I tell you I want it done by a certain date, I expect it done. When I'm telling you, that means I don't want to remember it anymore. It's now
Yeah.
your job. Now you tell me when it's done. And then sometimes if it's not
Mhm.
done, I'll be sitting here just like working. It randomly pops in my head. I'm like, wait, where was that at? Was that ever done? And I'll go through the text message or the email or whatever to see if like, was this, let's just say it's a graphic or something. I don't know. Was that
Yeah.
sent to me and I just missed it? And if it wasn't, then they'll be like, oh, I had a question on it. Well, why didn't you ask me? You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
have to ask me. So what I did for this a couple years ago, I found this great thing. I don't know if I talked about it in the last podcast we did together, but it's called monday.com, like just the daily
Mm.
monday.com. It's a platform that I use. And there's like a free version, but you can buy it based on people on your team. And what I did this back in November is I set up the whole year and there's like job boards. So if anybody's an entrepreneur listening to this, or just trying to manage your tasks, you can even use it for your household tasks because there's an app too, and you can do it on your laptop. I'm not affiliated with them. It's just a tool that I really like.
Yeah.
And what's cool is all your team can join that as well. So then what you can do is you can put in, like I did one for one of my teams that I manage with Andy's brand. We did it every month of the year for this year, and every month what has to get done that month. And then we
Mhm.
meet every Thursday and we go through our boards. Okay, where are we at on this? Because you can assign whose job it is. They can update you where they're at on it. They can upload the files. You can have a tab that different colors of like working on it, waiting, stuck, waiting for operations, at print, whatever it is. So it's a very easy thing. I can jump on my app and see where it's all at. If I have a question, I can correspond with them, or I can just text them privately. But it's really cool because you can move things around on there. And then also, I use it for the paper and plan code team, because we're able to put on who's doing what, like what's in design, what's in marketing, what's in production, and just general things of what do we need to order, what's been purchased. That way everybody knows what's going on. And it's just, it's really, really been a great, we started with talking about technology, in the beginning.
Mhm.
It's a great
Ah.
technology aspect for that, to be able to keep each other in the loop in one
Yeah.
spot, because I don't use Asana or any of those things. We just use regular text messaging, because my team was like, I don't want to have another app that I have to deal with this. I don't want to work with that. This
Yeah.
works great. So we use that. So it's a really good, very simple thing, because I don't like technology. I don't like things to be overcomplicated. I don't want to have to like take hours to learn some program that I want to use. I just want to be able to figure it out on the fly. So that's a really good thing. If, anybody is searching for something that's helpful and very,
Yeah.
very easy to learn, you can learn it in like 10 minutes.
I definitely do, because right now I've got, a Google spreadsheet for this, and this is a shared doc, and
Yeah.
then we're doing this over here. And then like you said, there's Slack over here, and then there's this over here. And I'm like just trying to like piece them all together. And I'm in all of them, but should I be? And
Yeah.
I just wish I had like a tech guru who's like, let me build you the perfect system that's built for
I
you.
know.
Like,
I
but
know.
I don't trust people. And I also, yeah,
No,
I
and
don't
that's
know.
what's so hard.
It's a lot.
I had the exact same thing with the trust factor, because it's like,
Yeah.
so many, like people know, like, you don't relinquish a lot of your data or information,
Mhm.
because as a business, that is your most valuable asset, is your data that you have. And so there are things that I would love to have someone else do, but then they now have
Mhm.
access to my data. And yeah, they could sign all the documents in the world. But the thing is like, okay, you can just take my email list, you can take my whatever and put it out to whoever you want, or you could steal it and use it for yourself or whatever. And I'm not willing to do that. I don't want it to my customers. I don't want it to myself, because that's what you work like the hardest for. Because once it's done, it's done. They can't say like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I took this. Sorry, here's it. I give it back. It's over. And yeah, you can sue them, you can do all this stuff. But the thing is, your stuff is gone. And that's how
Yeah.
I'm like with the trust thing. It's like, and I know it's accessible to anybody everywhere, whatever, hackers on stuff. It's just like, it's just very hard. It's hard to know who to trust, what
Yep.
they want, and just like their motive. And I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. I want just
What it
paperback.
No, that's
No emails, no
same with
technology.
us. Like everything's like electronic. And I'm like, remember when we just brought in a folder and then we go through the
Yes,
folder and then we would give it back? Like, could we
I
just get back
know.
to those days?
Yeah, totally, totally. What were you gonna say? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, interrupted you.
No, you're fine.
Oh, yeah, because I was teased because like I'm like still a big paper person. Like I print out certain things that I want documented, or if I need to go back and reference things. And people make fun of me, but I'm like, well, like, what if the internet dies tomorrow and I can't access anything, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so I like to have physical proof of important documents, and I keep all of that. Or if it's something that I feel like if I'm in like, a dispute with a vendor or something like that, I will print those out. So I have hard copies of that, have my evidence, have my receipts all the time because
Yep.
of that. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. It's a lot of filing file folders and stuff, but I just, I just subscribe to like always watch your back. And I think that came from just my dad being in business. And, he was in business before email and stuff like that. And he even still says like, I mean, he had email and cell phones and stuff like that before, when he was still in business, before he sold his companies. But when he was in business early, it was in the 80s, And I would ask him, I said, what was like the biggest like game changer in business for you in your lifetime that, when when you were still in business? And he said the fax machine. And I said, but here's the thing though, if you think about it, nothing's really changed since the fax machine, because faxes were just people probably, some younger listeners probably don't even know what a fax machine is, but you would just put it on there and it would just whoop, copy it and send it to that person. So they would get it quote instantly.
Yeah.
That's the same thing, kind of email, text message, phone call, like all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So the fax machine is it really is kind of like the pivotal point in that like instant communication.
It's true. Yeah, we still use a fax machine. Insurance companies demand it. So
Yeah.
we constantly, which is so funny. It's like with modern technology, you have insurance companies who are like, we only accept things through fax still
Yeah.
today.
There's
Uh,
medical
which is
providers
so
do
funny.
that
Yeah.
too. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I have a fax machine, but like with the line, I don't have it hooked up to the landline. I'm like, I'm not taking important documents to a FedEx location, having some kid see it while it's getting scanned in, or whatever. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, they make a fax app now. So I
Oh
had to
yeah.
download a fax machine app to fax
eFax.
it. It's just so crazy. Yeah.
It's true. It's a and it's funny, I think about the old fax machines. So the ones that sucked are the ones that had that thermal paper where it would like literally disappear after a amount of
I
time.
remember
So
that.
you like
Yeah.
did not want to get a fax on thermal paper. Like, but then
Yeah.
when it transitioned into regular paper, it got easier to feed it. Yeah, fax machines is the way to go. And I'm like you. I'll say I think it's been my biggest CYA is I save everything, because you don't know if you're going to get sued, someone's going to sue you, there's a dispute, there's an upset, or you just want to know. But for me, I just save everything because you just never know. And the more the better. And I know for myself with certain situations, it's because of all that. And I'm able to reference it, time, place, form, event, this happened, that happened, because of the meticulousness of how I save everything. It's saved my ass a lot of times. And
Yeah.
it just builds your case. It just makes things better than leaving it up to our brains to try to remember what may or may not have been.
Because everything's a blur. It kind of goes back to the mentally doing it versus physically doing it. And I have files for any sort of like issue that I feel might arise, or if I have a problem with something and it's kind of like progressing, I immediately start a file on it, and I will have like a Word doc, or I'll like write it in there and I'll print it and add to it of like, what the day is, the time is, what happened. And I document all of that and it like you said, it has saved my ass a lot. And then when people realize you do that, they don't mess with you anymore because they know you have the receipts to prove it. And, it's like my sister and I tease, and I learned that from my mom and dad, because my dad, again, being in business, but like, even when, you call your cable company and there's an issue, I always write down the date, the time, who I talked to, if they have an operator number, what the conversation was.
Oh,
And it's saved my ass so much, because one time I remember this happened with, at our last house, the water company was like, they sent us a bill and it was like saying we used 1 million gallons of water that month. And I'm like, it's the two of us. And the pool was closed. There wasn't it was like dead of winter. And I'm like, if we used 1 million gallons, where did this go? And they're like, well, there might've been a toilet leak. I'm like, a toilet doesn't leak 1 million. I was like, that's like the Olympic sized swimming pool. We would have a
yeah.
leak somewhere, like a pool in our yard.
Yeah. Our new lake that suddenly was
Yeah.
made, but that
Yeah.
million
And it
gallons.
was
Yeah.
like, it was like a $5,000 water bill that month. I'm like,
Ooh,
this is insane. And I was like documenting it all and writing it all down and who I talked to. And it was like a 3-month ordeal of like getting this bill straightened out. And then finally they were like coming to me, they're like, well, you know what? Just pay it and then we'll figure it out. I'm like, nope, you said this is this. And I like went through the whole day. I like overdid it, like oversold myself on the
yeah.
data that I had saved. And they're like, oh yeah, you're right. It was like it should have been a couple $100s. And then we got it straightened out. But it's because I had the documentation. They couldn't like lie about it. And I also keep all the bills for 1 year at least, so that I can always compare month to month. You know what I mean? And so I was
Mm,
able to show them
smart.
that of what it should be and like what the
Yep.
date was. And they were just like, forget it. We're over this girl. Just let her pay her bill and go on.
It's smart though, because that is what wins like half the time
Yeah.
is, do you have the evidence? And again, I mean, it's not always lawsuits, but it's anything. And as long as they know you got your shit together, like, damn, well,
I
I
know.
don't that much, so I'm just not even gonna do that and
I
go
know. It
there.
just sucks. You have to like think that way. But I
Yeah.
think it's also when you go in with good intentions, and I think it takes getting burned one time
Yep.
to change your mind on that.
Absolutely. And on the flip side of that, I'm consistently surprised that people put shit in writing. I'm like, you realize I can screenshot everything that
Yeah.
you just wrote. Like, are you not
Yeah.
thinking? as you're being contentious with me that I might save this and use it against you. Like, why are you putting this in writing? What is wrong with
Well,
you?
and then it got to audio. People would do audio messages. Well,
Oh
then
yeah.
that's okay. But now they transcribe because people could keep the audio messages, obviously. But now you
Yeah.
can, now the phone, your phone does an automatic transcription. So you can still have that as well. So it's just, I always,
Yeah.
I tell my, my team and like, women in business, I've done a talk. It's like, you have to put everything, you have to verse it in the way that you expect it to be screenshot and put online.
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to. And like, I don't, it's just how you have to operate now because
Right.
it only takes one person to like get upset with something or misinterpret something that was not your intention to just blast you.
Oh yeah. Well, that's
Mhm.
why I'm always surprised at these, influencers who will go on rants. And it's like, you realize everybody's watching this. And even though you're like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't take shit back after you put it out there. Like, why are we airing stuff on public forums? Like, there's no good that's going to come from any of that stuff. It's all going to come back on you.
Well, and the internet's forever, and people don't realize, I think the younger generation don't realize that, like
Yeah.
pictures you put out, content you write, tweets, whatever it is, it can always come back. And I think that what it is people they make an emotional decision in the heat of the moment, thinking they're really going to get to somebody, they're really going to make a difference with this. And then they feel stupid after they're able to like marinate on it. So it's like, wait 24 hours. If you're mad or pissed off about something, do not do anything for 24 hours because then by the time that 24 hours passes, usually you're able to gain a different perspective on it. Or maybe it is still true, but the thing is that if you put it out there, now you're kind of opening yourself up as like this like unstable person. It's like,
Yep.
geez, they're just like a mess, and
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot with like influencers or people just get on there and they're just like they post like in an emotional state, and people don't forget that even if they delete it. I specifically remember a girl that grew up in my hometown. I knew her family and her husband's family very well, nice people. And I remember on Facebook one night, she posted, my husband just called me a bitch. I can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. And she was like going on this like rant about him calling her that. Well, the next morning it was taken down. But I still remember that like he called, not that it's like, you know, I didn't think anything of it as far as like against him or her, but I'm like, why are you putting your personal issues online? Because now I know that that's being said, even though now you guys have made up and they've had more children and all this kind of stuff. It's just I think people just they're too comfortable with the internet and they forget that everybody can
Mhm.
see it. And I just I love social media for the connections I've made, the friendships, but it's this fine line of, there is a point where you need to only share what you want, like share what just share I don't want to say general information because I think it is important to be general, like or to be like authentic and transparent with people, but people just overshare,
Yeah.
and there's parts of your life that people don't deserve, a microscope into. And
Right.
I think that people get in the method of sharing. People love it, then they share a little more, then they share a little more. And pretty soon their entire life is broadcasted on social media and they don't have anything just private for themselves, like Andy and I, we don't post each other. We don't talk about each other on social. Very, very rarely, like extremely rare. And people say, "Why don't you guys post more together? Why don't you do this?" That's us. That's the one thing we have to ourselves is our marriage and what happens inside of the four walls of our home. And that's important to us because, Andy's has his podcast. I do things on social media. We have security guards 24/7 on our property and with us. Like what happens in these four walls is literally it's just us. And we don't have to share any of that if we choose not to. And I think, there's peace and privacy is what I always say. And I think that, a lot of the troubles that people face are because they are getting backlash or maybe commentary from people on social media, judging them or saying this or that or nitpicking them, no matter what it is. I could say, like, here's a bottle of water. Well, why don't you use a reusable bottle? So then I show a plastic bottle. Why don't you use a glass bottle? So I show a
Yep.
glass bottle. Oh, do you use this kind of laundry? There's always something that someone can say about something that you do. It's
Yeah.
never going to be good. The internet's always going to be mad at you. And I just think that people I don't know. I just have so many mixed emotions about social media. I always tease like, if
Yeah.
I didn't have a business, I probably wouldn't be on it.
Yep. I feel the same, and I go through like ebbs and flows. I'm like, oh, I got to feed the machine, the
Yes.
algorithm. I got to post something every day, whether it's important or not. Just put something out there, put something out there. And then I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I feeding this machine? And then I go into super private, like I don't want anybody knowing anything about me ever. And then I'm like, okay, but then you drop and nobody sees anything ever. And you're like, okay. So like you said, because of the business, I feel like there has to be sort of a happy medium. But I know for me too, as I've gotten older, there's less I really want to share about myself. It's like
Yeah.
not important.
Yeah. Well, and that's how I feel. I also feel like it's kind of, I feel a little like if I share about everything that I'm doing and stuff, it just seems weird to me. And I always think
Mhm.
like, who cares what I'm doing today? You know what I mean? Nobody cares. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're maybe entertained by it or interested, but no one truly really cares except maybe my mom and my family. But I just think, I just don't, I feel a little like self-absorbed if I'm always like, got the phone in front of my face all the time saying like, here's what I'm doing. I'm drinking this water, but nobody cares. Everybody's gonna
Yeah.
do their own thing anyway.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
we had some friends come to town that were quasi influencers, and we're trying to hang out, and the whole time they're like, "Oh wait, hold on. Let me do this. Oh, let me do my live. Okay, let's do that.
yeah,
Wait, what about this shot over here? Oh, yeah, what were you saying? Oh wait. Oh, I got it." And I'm like, "Dude, you're not even present. Like, my
yeah.
God, it's really all about just the content and the capturing and the video and the this and the staying relevant." And it's just like, that's just not life for me. I don't have any desire to live that kind
Well,
of
I think
life.
about like what is the I don't want to say payoff, but what does that look like when you're
Mm,
older? Like all of
mhm,
your memories. So I say with like kids, because like the Paper and Plan Co, we sell these playtime pads for kids, and it's to get kids off of technology. Because when I
mhm,
grew up, we grew up on a farm. We like literally, you got home from school, you had to do your homework, and you played outside till dinner was ready. And then after dinner, you could watch an hour of TV. You take your bath, your shower, whatever. You go to bed and get ready for the next day. So we were always playing like imaginary stuff. We would like make up
mhm.
things. Like we had so much fun. We have so many memories from that.
Yeah.
And Andy and I don't have children, but it's like we talk about that. Like, what are kids nowadays going to talk about in 20 years? Oh, remember that time we were sitting on the couch and we were watching that show on our iPad? Like, what does that look like? Because it's all about the screens. And again, I feel hypocritical saying that because I do need it. I use it for my business. I'm an e-com store. I sell online. So it's a requirement for that. However, from a personal standpoint, it's just I think life is to be enjoyed and not necessarily broadcasted. Sure, there's times that you want to share with everybody, but studies show that you actually are using less of your actual memory when you use your phone because people take pictures and they videotape things or videotape. That's how old I am. They take video or record it.
Yeah.
They record all these special moments and they're watching it from their screen while it's really happening. And
Yeah.
they don't necessarily, their receptors don't turn on to remember it because they feel, oh, I have a photo or I have a video. So I don't have to actually retain the information because I can just watch it again. But how many
Yeah.
times do we actually go back and watch those things?
Yeah,
It's the same.
never. In the early days, I was like film concerts I go to, and the bands would be like so irritated. They're like, "Watch us. You came to see us. You didn't come to
Yeah.
see us through this." And they were 100% right. It's like I never went back and watched that, like,
Yeah.
quality of film that I thought was so important back then. Like I've never
No.
watched any of that.
And I think what really like hit that home for me was probably, I think it was maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I remember it sounds silly, but for some reason I found this to be profound was it was a crowd of people. It was maybe in Italy or something like that. It was like maybe like a parade. It was some big event. And they were lining the streets, people like 20 people deep or more. And they had the streets all roped off, and everybody is doing this to whatever's coming down the street. And you see this little elderly woman in the front row with her elbows were like on like the fence that was blocking everybody back. And she's just smiling, just like you could just see like the joy in her eyes. And she was just so happy. And she was just watching it. No phone, no nothing, and everybody else is just phones all around her. And it wasn't a stage thing. It was a legitimate like photo and a video of this woman. And it just like hit me. I'm like, she's real. She's so present and so in that moment, in that time. And everybody else is just more of like, let me get a video so I can share it with everybody else instead of enjoying it for myself, which is why I'm actually here.
Yeah. Oh, and things have changed so much like that. Even more so now with kids of this generation. They're missing out on everything. And My friend April here, she has teenage kids, so mine are a little older, but even just the way that, like what you and Andy were talking about, a Friday night, they're totally content each being in their own homes, playing video games with each other in their own homes on a Friday night. Like when I was growing up, like you, is like, get out of here, kid, like beat the streets. Like I don't come
Yeah.
sit at home. I don't want you around here. Now I
Yeah.
took that to like total other extremes, but even the kids now are like so safe. They don't want to drive. They don't want to leave their homes. They feel totally content just staying in, and parents are happy because they're like, oh, you're not getting in trouble. I know what you're doing. I can keep track of
Right.
you. And you're totally content staying in your room and just playing video games with your friends, like, across town. It's
But that's what's so
crazy.
bad. They're not gaining any sort of like life experience that way because they're not getting out into the real world.
Right.
And I don't want to say this against like all kids. Obviously there's, levels to this, but they're fine. Like you said, they don't care about driving. They don't want to worry about a car, or they want to worry about gas or insurance or whatever it is. They just want to stay home and do this. But it's like they're not learning like social cues, interactions with strangers, doing just doing what kids do, of getting out there, falling on their face, making an ass of themselves, getting back up, making it right. And that is all like character building things. But it's like we've created these like bubbles or like safe spaces for kids, almost, I want to say by accident, maybe it's by design, I don't know. But
Mm.
I just feel like, it's just so strange because like when I was a kid, when you were 15 and a half, you could not wait to get your permit. And then
Mhm.
you hope that, like, so my town, they only did their driver's tests every other Tuesday because it was a small town. So there's twice a month you could take a driver's test.
Yeah.
And I was praying that my birthday would be close to my 16th birthday to a driver's test day so I could start driving and start doing my own thing. But nowadays
Yeah.
it's just very, very different.
Yeah, well, it's critical thinking. There's a lot of overwhelm, like, it doesn't make me feel comfortable, or it makes me, my
Yeah.
anxiety. And so it's like, oh, yeah, we don't want to agitate your anxiety. So, like, don't do that. But that anxiety is your body's social cue of you're doing something uncomfortable, and learn to push past that instead of saying, I don't want to do this because it's creating this effect on me. So I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, and I think I too wonder if social media played a role in creating that thought process with kids and teenagers, because even as an adult, you watch things and like the creeps you see, like that, are trying to follow kids or teenagers into bathrooms, or just like the creepy people that there are. You just wonder if that is now putting the fear, which awareness is wonderful. Paranoia is another thing. Like, are the kids getting so exposed to those types of like horror stories, which are absolutely terrible, to where it's actually like paralyzing them to not want to go out and be in the world because of what they see online? And I think the bad part of that is like, yes, is it out there? Yes, it's everywhere. However, it's not an everyday thing. It's kind of like, the racism thing. Like if you watch on social media, everybody is racist towards everybody, but in the real world, that's not the case. So it's like we see what is supposed to be the real world online, and then we get in the real world and it can be different. And
Yeah.
I don't know if kids are afraid to experience the real world in person because they're fearful of what they see on the screen as 100% truth, which yes, it does happen. I'm not denying that by any means. I'm just saying, is it just, too much?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're bombarded by it from the news,
Yeah.
from social media, from, just fear. Everything is just so fear driven. So I have no doubt that fuels it. I mean, at least back in my day, you saw newspaper in the news, but it wasn't enough to deter me from wanting to do really anything. It wasn't like that prominent.
Yeah. Yeah. Just it's a weird world now.
It is, and it'll be interesting to see where we're at in 10 years from now. And I think with enough people sort of getting nervous about AI and robots, I don't want to say we're going to slow technology down, but I would like to see it as more of an ancillary thing as opposed to a replacement thing
Right. I
for
agree.
social
And
connection and for all the things.
I think there's a very big responsibility on people
Mm.
to remember that and to not let it end up like, ruling your life. And I think it's important for business owners to, operate their business in an ethical way with integrity. And because the more people that now, yeah, we can't ignore what's happening with the technology. However, is there a way to responsibly deploy it into your community or to your business? Perhaps, but at what cost?
Yeah.
and that's the thing that I think is scary is that people, if business owners, use that technology more and they don't actually need the people there. Well, now obviously if people out of jobs, but there would be there's an upside to business owners doing that because they don't have to pay their, workers comp on them. They don't have to pay their benefits. They don't have to have people there, all that kind of stuff. However, you literally are, you're putting people out of a job that rely on that for their families and to feed them. So I feel like that's something that people need to really think about before they decide to just like, oh, this is so cool. This is the latest and greatest. And they want to go ahead and put it in their business or, and then people are out of jobs. And then what happens? It's going to be like Annie I talk about, it's like it's going to be two classes. They're going to have like the very, like people on universal basic income that lose their jobs because of this and the people that are rising and making more money. But the problem is, I think the dichotomy of that is you have the companies that are like, oh, I'll be more profitable because I have all of this technology in my business so we can make more money because we don't have to pay all these people. Well, the people that you now fired don't have the money to afford the product that now your AI is generating or whatever it is. So who's going to be your consumer when the scale goes like this instead of like this?
Yeah.
So I think that's something that, needs to be thought about.
Well, and there's just so many things that, AI can't replace humans. Like I'm a very heavy human business, right? Like I run a drug and alcohol rehab. It is 80% hands-on with people. And in my mind, you can't replace that with a robot. However, I think, like you said, other people, other businesses, yeah, oh my God, the paperwork, the amount of paperwork that you have to do now. AIs can be helpful with that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah,
But at the same time, it's not going to replace the human that's doing the interaction with the person, but it can help with the notes and the things that you have to write for the state, for the insurance companies, for things like that. So there can be a happy medium where you have both.
correct. Yeah, totally. Sorry, my doorbell just rang.
Oh, do you need to get that?
No, I'm fine. Fine. It's an Amazon driver.
Oh, nice.
He just called me like 4 times. He's like, "How do I get in here?"
Good luck.
Well, yeah, because we have like 2 gates and they were security guard. And I guess he's like, I don't know where he got stuck at. So I was like, telling him like, I'm sorry, I'm on a Zoom. I can't talk. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
just leave it at the gate. It's fine.
Because I'm talking about multitasking. No.
Right. I mean,
That's
it's a
like,
hard habit to break. I mean, I certainly can't do it. I have
right.
found that I am a good multitasker if I'm doing something mindless while I'm doing something
Totally.
else.
Yeah.
Like if I
Totally.
can just like doodle or do something mindless, my brain really does enjoy that type of multitasking.
No, same. Or it's like, like if I'm catching up with a friend on the phone, I just have them on speaker and I will talk to them while I'm like, maybe I'm like reorganizing my desk or like
Yep.
putting papers together, just stuff that doesn't require much brain work. It's more of just like, getting things situated. I do that all
Oh
the
yeah.
time. It's like, as far as
Yeah.
actually like work, multitask, I try not to anymore. I
Yeah.
just think
Not
I'm
so
not as like
much.
as good as a producer. Like when
No, we've just been
I look back,
exposed.
I'm
It's
like,
like, you
wait,
thought
was
you're
I
real
really?
good, but let's look at
Yeah,
this.
I'm like, was I this bad at it before? Because I feel like I was a really like a rock star with it, but
Yeah.
then I like progress and maybe it's just the load of work or the type of work or the requirement for me mentally
Mhm.
that I just feel like it's just not really good anymore. So I feel like I'm just more dialed focused in now to like
Yeah. Do you feel
get
like you're
more.
slowing down at all with getting older?
No, I feel like I'm actually speeding up a lot. And
Yeah.
so it's the last, like, it's funny you say that as far as like you said previously about like being on social and you're posting every day and you're doing this, and you kind of like cocoon and go all in. That's what I did because I've
Mhm.
been so busy working on future projects. Like there's something I've been working on for like 6 years that I'm now getting ready to like launch. And it's just things I've been doing and I've really been able to like focus on it. But here's the hard part of that as a brand or business, because this is what I've just recently kind of like discovered, if you will, is I was so on social for so long and so consistent. Now I maybe post like once a month. I'm on my stories almost every day, but it's really just like quotes that I think of and I post, or it's like it's just like kind of like fun stuff, like lighthearted stuff, because my day really isn't that exciting. So I'm not going to like post my day because like the things that I work on, I can't like talk about that I'm working on, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I don't really post a lot of that, but I need to get back to posting more of business advice and help and things like that. Because things that I'm doing now, I have to kind of come back out of that shell and put myself back out there more for what I've been working on. So hindsight looking back, this is just something kind of like I've newly discovered the last month or so. I'm like, I should have never stopped as much. I should have
Mhm.
just kind of slowed down on that to still stay out there. But me only posting once a month. There's one month I only posted like one time in 3 months, but I'm still there and going, but I should have been doing a little, at least like once a week,
Yeah.
because that way I could kind of keep building that community up and working towards that. So I feel
Yeah.
like if somebody is in that like growing phase and now you're in a grind phase where you're kind of like coming more like introverted and cocooned, it still is important to stay out there with the community that you built and stuff in that first initial phase, to kind of keep that fire stoked. Because I mean, not that it doesn't like go away, but it's not as like hot. It's harder to find new people and things like that. So I'm kind of discovering that. So I'm actually good at getting more into social now. I've got some other things that are going to be launching here in 7 weeks, that I've been working on. I have like the women in business workshop and things like that. There's just a lot of stuff going on. So I feel like I'm actually like in a speed up mode, because
Yeah.
during COVID and stuff, I laid off a lot because I didn't feel right. And this is the same way with Andy too. We didn't feel right asking people to invest in themselves or spend money. Like, you want to invest in yourself, but it's like people, it's hard time.
Yeah.
And I feel like times were tough, money was tight. You don't want to ask people for, a lot of people were struggling. So why I would say like, hey, come to Women in Business, spend $2,000 to do this, when I know people were struggling. And yes, I've had the event every year and it's sold out. It's been great, but it's like I was just very cognizant of that. Um, and I just feel like now it's time people are getting a little bit healthier financially, or they're getting to that point, or they kind of see like the light at the end of the tunnel. And a lot of people were struggling. I feel like it's a responsibility to like reach in and like, hey, let me help you get up there. So
Yeah.
that's why, I'm just really excited for what's to come, and it's really lit a fire under me, and I feel like actually more energized now than I have in the last like probably 4 years. Like I feel like I'm ready to like put my foot on the gas and like stomp it
Yeah.
down.
I love that. And I think you're right, because with the pandemic, there was such a saturation of events and people and influencers and mentors and coaches. And it was just like such an oversaturation, and everyone's like, there was just, it became overwhelming. And then, as we've seen with time, the fakes kind of like went away. They,
Yeah.
all have sort of contended. And I really do think this is like a great time for you, because a lot of that has died down, but almost too
Yeah.
much so, where people don't know who to trust and where to trust, and they already know you and trust you. So I think it's going to be great for you.
Yeah, and I think that's the hard part to see, though, is that the people that are now in lawsuits with these fakes and frauds that basically stole their money, when it's
Yeah.
people that was the last money that they maybe had to invest in something, and they were investing in hope. There wasn't even like a certainty with it. They were investing their money saying, okay, this person says they can get me this. I'm putting it all on the line and I'm going to do this because this is what's going to make me get to that next level. And the person was a fraud. And now those people are left with no money, and the information they were given either wasn't ever delivered to them, or was fake, or these people are a fraud. And that's a really, really hard thing, I think, to deal with,
Yeah.
because and it's been hard to see because there are so many fakes that came out through COVID, because they were basically preying on the people's desperation of trying to make money, and not to make money to get rich or to be crazy with it, but just to be able to provide for their families. And it's been honestly disgusting to see the people that are just preying on these people for their
Oh,
own.
it's been heartbreaking. And, I was in a lot of those entrepreneur groups. I was exposed to a lot of it. I made a few dumb choices. Luckily, I wasn't in a financial position to do anything too crazy. But like you
Yeah,
said, you're just looking for hope. And there
right.
is no one size fits all. Like, that's what I noticed in my entrepreneur journey. I went to all these groups looking, how do I get leads? How do I get this? It's like, yes, we're all business, but every business is totally different. Like,
Yeah,
healthcare in California is totally different than an ecom place over here. So the advice you're getting over here doesn't necessarily apply to what you're trying to do over here. So
yeah,
it is unfortunate, because there was such a it was so ripe for people to just take advantage of people and give them hope, and then just crush them. It was rough.
yeah.
It's still
Yeah.
rough, and there's still a lot of fallout. I mean, I'm involved in a couple of things where there's still fallout happening.
Yeah, you see a lot of those being kind of aired out on social media right now with the people and like the class action lawsuits against these like fake gurus and people, like it's like Andy's always said, he's like, let the people show you what their business is. What do they produce? What do they do? Because a lot of these people, they make their quote success and their riches by selling you the story of their riches, but there's no actual like data to back it up. There's no like proof in the pudding, if you will.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I did
yeah.
get one of the most valuable pieces of information from you at Women in Business, and it
What's
was
that?
You said once a year, I fucking redline. I go through all the bills, I go through all the things, and I redline. And after I went and saw you, I went and it wasn't by choice, but we had some stuff happen in the business where I was literally forced into redlining personally and with the business. And it was astounding to me to see how many things just get put on auto subscription, auto pay, auto this,
Yes.
auto that. You think you need it, you think you got to have it, and where, what is that, and why is that even on there, and that sort of thing. Like, it was astounding to me where things had gotten to, and I had allowed it by, trying to make things more convenient and easy,
Yeah.
but it was like I lost control because I wasn't redlining every single month.
Yeah, and it's crazy when you do, even just like going into your like your settings
Mm.
in your phone and seeing the apps you're subscribed to. I try to do that about every 6 or 8 weeks, like when I think about it, because you do like, oh, this free 7 day trial just to try it, and you're like, oh, I'll cancel it after that, and you don't. And you're like, oh shoot, that's $29 a month or whatever it is,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
just adds up. Like last month alone, I think I hadn't done it for like 3 months, and I went in and it was like $45 a month that I immediately got rid of because I unsubscribed to this stuff. It's just like
Yeah.
little things, it's like my dad always said, he's like, watch your pennies and your dollars take care of themselves. And it's
Oh,
true. Because like
and
if you
that
watch,
is a great,
yeah, if you
I
watch
mean,
that
that just
little
says it all.
spending, then your dollars will accumulate themselves if you just watch your pennies.
Yeah, and I love that, and like you said, it's not like a one and done. Like, you gotta constantly do this because things will creep in there, all those little
Yeah,
subscriptions, all those little things, they'll just start adding up, so you just gotta be
yeah,
vigilant, vigilant, vigilant with this kind of things.
yeah, yeah. So,
So,
all right.
if you don't mind, I'd love to switch gears and just can we talk about your ducks? Like, how amazing are they?
Yes, yes, yes. No, they're good. I have to leave in 5 minutes though. Is that
Okay,
okay? Sorry.
so ducks and ghosts, what do you got? No,
So
give me
ducks.
2 great
Okay. So
stories.
ducks. So ducks. We have two drakes, which are boy ducks, and three women ducks, female ducks. They're so fun. We got them last March 2024. We got two of them. And then actually as women in business last year on a Tuesday morning, we had tornadoes here in St. Louis, and I was staying at the hotel, and Andy was home, and our duck coop was not in sight from the house, and we had cameras in there. And he was like, he texted me like 7 in the morning. He's like, hey, can you look at the ducks? He's like, it's storming really bad here. I want to make sure they're okay. So I get on my app and I look at the ducks, and one of them, there's something wrong. And I was like, hey, I think something got James, which is our girl duck. Because when you buy them, you don't know if they're boy or girl for quite a while till their tails start to curl. The
Mm.
back tail curls, it's a boy. And we thought they were both boys. So it was Duck Norris and James Pond. And James had gotten killed by a raccoon. She stuck her head out of the coop and then it got her. And so we're like, we need to build a better coop. And then we went ahead and got Daisy as a little companion for Duck from another farmer here locally. She was already like 4 months old when we got her. So they were a little boyfriend and girlfriend. And then last late July, after that happened, we got three more ducks because I told Andy, I'm like, well, if this would happen again, we're now left with one duck again and got to find a companion for it because ducks can't be solitary animals because they get very depressed. So
Mm.
we got three more. And so they're jumbo pekins. So like our boy jumbo pekin, 17 pounds, he's big. And
Wow.
then our littlest one, she's 2 pounds, which is our little girl. They're just the sweetest things.
2 pounds full grown? Tiny.
It's very
Oh,
tiny. It's very petite. And
yeah.
so we take care, we call it duck stuff. So every night after dinner, we go do duck stuff, which we like clean their coop, do their water. Like every morning we go up there and check on them. And then at night we go up and check on them again and get them all set for the night and tucked in and stuff like that. And we put the littlest duck, Daisy, with her boyfriend Duck. We put Duck and Daisy in like a little cage because Sam, our big pekin that's 17 pounds, he likes to bully the 2 pound little girl. So we put her
Yeah.
away at night so he can't, because he'll be like, he's mean to her. He's like an asshole. And he's not trying to mate with her. He's just mean. Like he grabs her feathers and she'll have like a little bald spot on her and stuff.
Oh
So
my gosh,
put
and
her
she's so
away.
tiny compared to him.
Oh, she's so sweet. And then our ghosts, yeah, we still have ghosts. They're not as bad. We have ghosts in our barn and then also in Andy's garage. And we had one here that was in the house still, but I think he's gone now because this is Ulysses S. Grant's property. And his cabin was sitting where our house is at now. So we think it's just kind of all the ghosts from there. But it's funny because even our security guards, one time when they first started here, they didn't know all about the ghosts. And it was like 3 in the morning. There was a woman in a dress walking around the outside of the house. You've been to our house, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we got the big porch around it. She was walking around the porch and they thought it was me at 3 in the morning doing cardio in a dress because they could see from where they were at. And then
They're like, we're not paid to like judge, but okay.
yeah, they're like, "No, no, that's a ghost." And, so we've caught them, like we've seen them, like, walk up the hill and stuff. They're like, it's wild. We're so used
Yeah.
to it though. It's kinda sad, but when we get, like, if there's another security guard with the company or new, they have to, like, warn, like, "Hey, there's ghosts here, just a heads up." And they, like, laugh it off until they, like, see them because like, they'll be in their duty truck, like, walking or driving around, and then, like, they'll see, like, a ghost in the rear view. It's, like, real like, it's wild. And we shot a, video of it before for Andy's YouTube. We're like, "We don't know if
Yeah.
we should post." I go, "If we post this, we're never gonna sell this house." So so we still say we're gonna shoot it one day and, post it, but we have, like, videos of, like, baby strollers being moved. There's, like, the dog stroller and like, the wheels are turning on it, and it's pushing off the porch and going it's like we've got lots of, like, video clips and stuff like that. It's just kinda wild, but we're actually so used to it, and they're nice. They don't bother us, so
Yeah, they're just cohabitating there.
energy.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's
we're
so many
fine.
years of history there. It's not at all surprising.
Yeah, and if we see, like, a knife start flying through the air, that might be a different thing, but we think it's a lot of history, though, because the house because, our house was built, like, 30 years ago, but it's made to look a lot older, like an old plantation, but all of the bricks were bricks from down south, and they say that, so when Hurricane Katrina, I think it was, happened, was that about 20, 30 years ago? Something like that. I think it was Katrina, but a lot of the stuff was revived from that, like, the bricks from the plantations or plantations that were damaged, so they
Mm,
got the guy that built this house, got all those bricks, brought them up here. All the shutters are made from underwater cypress that was down
wow.
south. The front door is from some historic plantation that was down in Louisiana. All the columns are smart bomb missile casings from the government. So there's a lot of like history and components to the house. And also like some of the trim work was taken from plantations and things like that. So there's a lot of history in the house. So I think that added to it. And also the barn that we have was Ulysses S. Grant's barn. It was his horse barn. So we think that's probably why there's, the ghosts and stuff there. So
Your barn's awesome though. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. We got to figure out I think we're gonna have to rebuild it because we had a lot of like frost quakes this winter where it's like the ground is so frozen from is being so cold
Mm.
and you'll hear like a loud boom and it's actually the ground like cracking underneath that one
Oh,
day the barn it's like it's old. It's like a couple 100 years old, I think. I
yeah.
think it's 100 or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but the roof was always kind of a little bit saggy on it. And then with the frost quake, we heard like a snap and like the back of it, the front looks the same, but the back kind of went. We're like,
Ooh.
okay, we can't put anything in here. This thing's gonna like be falling down if we get a bad wind or anything. But we've
Oh
had like
yeah.
4 or 5 tornadoes this year so far in the last month, and it hasn't blown down. So
Well, they don't build them like they used to, right?
yeah, exactly, for real. So we'll wait and
Like,
see. But yeah, we gotta if we rebuild the barn, it's gotta look the same because I love the look of it.
yeah, absolutely. Well, you have such a great piece of property. I mean, I'd be surprised if you guys left at all. It's so
I
so
know
cool.
that's what we always say. We're just like we probably have this thing forever.
Yeah, yeah, and it's perfect. You got everything you could possibly need.
Yeah, it's like our little private little area. That's why we're homebodies. We just have everything we need right here.
Yeah, yeah, I don't blame you at all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. I
Oh
know
my
you
gosh,
are
no, thank
super
you. It was a blast
busy.
to talk to you, getting to see you. It's been a while. I'm
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
forward
Well,
to it.
hopefully, we'll be seeing you again soon.
Hopefully,
Still trying
yeah.
to see if I can swing women in business. Hopefully, we
Oh,
have an
no,
art
you're good. Yeah,
event.
no, you're good. If not, we'll see each other when we see each other.
Yeah, but are we having an art event this year? I know the last one got canceled, which I was actually kind of happy about because I really wanted to come and there was no way I could do it. So I secretly was
Yeah.
happy about that, but I hope you're having
Yeah,
another
yeah,
one.
we will. Yeah, there's just been sometimes there's like, conflicts where it's like it's booked and like we had like an error with like the hotel didn't book it. It just kind of things just get kind of like messed up. So we're like, okay, can't do that.
Yeah. Well, and you guys have, I mean, just meshing all three of your schedules between you, Andy, and Ed, like that's hard in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's good. We're excited for it. We'll be having one, so we're excited.
Okay, good.
We'll
And
be
then I
announcing
guess I'll be seeing you a little later on the article. Oh no, that's not this week. That's next
next
week.
week. Yeah, next Wednesday. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And hopefully I get to see more videos. Thank you for bringing all your warehouse into the US. I with the paper
Oh, you're
your other
welcome.
business. It's
Yeah,
cool to
thank
see
you.
that. You're going to be producing everything right there, or is it just a
Yeah,
storage?
we've done that since 2020. Whenever we were starting, it was always a thing of like I want everything made in the US. Some things that are not that's the thing is some things are not able to be made in the US yet. It's not by choice, it's because there's not factories here because everything was overseas for so long. And so we're still trying to work on like getting everything here. Hopefully more factories will open because like we have custom made paper clips. Those have to be made
Mm,
overseas. There's not a factory here that's making those. Or it's like even just like think of any sort of like insulated tumbler you have, like a stainless steel tumbler. there is no manufacturing in the US. It's only China because the EPA regulations, because it's such a filthy component to make, just like the byproduct and like the residue and things like that, that China doesn't have the same EPA regulations that the US has. So every
Mm.
single tumbler you'll ever buy anywhere with stainless steel in it is always made in China, you know? So it's like figuring out what can we get here. So we had counted today, we have 6 products that are not made in the US. Everything else that we have, which is, I think we have, gosh, I think we have 186 or 7 SKUs. Everything else is made in the US. So
Wow.
we just work really hard to try to make everything here in the US. And, you know, it's obvious, it was always important to us, but now, especially with the tariff talks and all that taking place, it's been even more crucial for us because now we don't have to worry about, you know, raising our prices or anything else. And it's also the education of customers of, you know, this is one thing that's kind of perturbed me as I see companies that are in the same industry as me saying, "Oh my gosh, if we produce planners here, they're going to cost the customer $180 a piece." No, they don't. My planners cost as much as theirs. They're paying $3 a piece in China for them, and I'm paying a shit ton more than that to have them made here in the US. However, they're made here in the US, and that makes me proud, and like I'm willing to take that quote hit on a profit for that. And now these companies are now just like, you know, getting upset, or they're trying to like, they're raising the prices for their consumer when they've had such a huge profit margin already. But the thing is with tariffs, it's made to level the playing field. That's what
Mm.
it's there to do. And if we level that playing field, it's going to be a lot healthier for the economy as a whole, because now it's like it's just fair trade essentially is what it is. It's, you know, China's not paying the tariffs on the stuff, but we're paying like on them. It's never been fair. So now by doing this, it's going to level the playing field from these like big companies being able to basically like shut down the little guys, because their profits can be so much higher, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my little spiel, but I think it's the education of, and things in general of, people always want the USA made until they see the price of a USA made product, and then they want China prices. So you can't have the best of both worlds. So
Yeah.
it's, you buy something at Target made in China for a $3 notepad, or you buy it in the US and it's an $8 notepad. What do you want? And what do you want to support? And I know that it's hard because of, again, the economy and finances and things like that. But it's trying to educate the customer of, we can't have the best of both worlds. At least not now, we can't, due to manufacturing.
Yeah.
So that's been, you know, a very, very, I think a hurdle for, I think, small businesses that do manufacture in the US. Like, yes, our prices are higher, but it's because we produce here and you should be happy with that, you know? But it's
Yeah.
just, I think it's going to be a learning curve for a lot of people over the next few months until tariff situations get settled.
Do you think they're gonna get settled? Because some people are just freaking out. Like, it's
I
nothing
think
I
it
have
is.
to
I
worry
think there's
about, but I know other people are really stressing over it.
I think there's going to be something that's going to happen. I don't know for sure, but maybe it's just hopeful. But I think that it is because, you know, the talk is, if the tariffs, that's going to help a lot with the economy. We'll be able to fund things from the tariffs that we will now receive from other countries for imports. So that can help with the income tax. So as a business, if a business is paying tariffs, but yet now that their taxes go down, it could level that out, you know, so it's
Mm.
about the same. But
Yeah.
I do think that, you know, the US is the biggest consumer in the world of so many products, that I think a lot of the other countries will be willing to play ball to ensure that their products are still able to be sold here. Like you see it now with China. I think last week it was 16 million protesters now in China in the factories, because they don't have work now, because of companies aren't using them anymore because of the tariffs now. So now the employees are mad at the country. So I think that's going to, you know, force something to happen.
Oh yeah, there's definitely gonna be some domino effects happening, but I
Yeah,
mean,
for
the
sure.
good news about it all coming is now we have more jobs for people in the US, which is,
Absolutely. And
a
that's,
big
yeah,
problem right now. So it's
for
in
sure.
my mind, it's a win-win-win, but of
Yeah.
course other people don't necessarily always see it the same way.
Yeah, totally. So
It's change. People don't like change.
no, they don't. They don't. They don't. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I appreciate your time today. And like, it was
Oh,
so
thank
fun
you.
to get to see you again and chat. I was really looking forward to it today.
Yeah, absolutely. Same. If you need anything from me ever, just let me know. And in the meantime, I can't wait to come see you at one of your conferences again.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. All right. Well, I hate to
Awesome.
rush off here. Sorry.
All
I gotta
good.
be
Thank you.
somewhere. I've got to be somewhere in a couple minutes. So I got to get rolling.
Yeah, gotta go pee.
Obviously cut
Okay,
that
bye.
part out. I could talk all day with you just chatting. I like
Yeah,
the
no
format of
problem.
just like conversation. I like that flow.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's
No, it was great.
easier
I
for
love
me.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, I just gotta get to an appointment, so I hate to rush off, but I gotta
All
get running.
good. Have a
All
great
right.
day.
Thanks, babe. I'll talk to you later.
All right, cool.
Bye.
Bye.